Okay, I'm back. This will have to be like continued though. Part 3 continued. Just gonna start right where it was. But Combe points out, when men create a discourse that excludes human life in its calculus, it is impossible to include humans and illegitimate to expect the discourse to reflect human concerns. She realized that knowledge of this language did not enable one to introduce such concerns or influence political decisions. She even questioned whether the discourse was part of the process by which political decisions are made. Cohn believes that techno-strategic discourse functions as a gloss, an ideological curtain, disguising the real reasons for political decisions. It is, however, likely that those decisions are based on the same assumptions, the same values as the discourse. Terrifyingly. War against women in art. No comprehensive study has yet been done of the attitudes toward women underlying 20th century art. But John Berger's important Ways of Seeing links the depiction of women in Western painting and advertising with capitalism's obsession with commodities. The god of capitalism, which Berger shows to be almost a religion, is money. Only money and money alone can bring a man status, love, and happiness, defined as the envy of others. Arguing that the tradition of Western painting was picked up by advertising in this century, Berger demonstrates that not just the art itself, but also the subject matter of most Western art are commodities designed to appeal to male buyers. Wait, what? Okay. The ultimate consumer is always presumed to be male, even in ads directed at women. They are urged to buy things that will make them more attractive commodities to male buyers. In themselves, women are only the most important goods the world has to offer male buyers. Their sexuality, motherhood, beauty, and labor are displayed as items available to men with enough money. But Berger's brilliant, fascinating argument does not even touch men's hatred for those same commodities. Feminists do point out the women hatred in the work of painters like Willem de Kooning, Picasso, or Balthus's portrayals of shockingly lascivious little girls. But a feminist analysis of art is impeded by the fact that we are pledged in our souls to freedom of expression. Artists appropriate the female body as their subject, their possession. Whether they paint women with hatred or idealize them or rapidly sentimentalize them, like Renoir, say, or appropriate them with cold superiority, like Degas, say, they are implicitly assaulting female reality and autonomy. But we cannot deny artists their right to their own vision. Jerome Robbins had the right to create a ballet, The Cage, in which insect-like females eviscerate two men, although in reality women rarely attack men. Depictions of threatening women are common in all the arts and presumably express a real male terror of women. And no wonder. Having subjugated women in every realm of life, they naturally fear retaliation. Acclaimed modern sculptors depict women with small, vacant heads and prominent or hugely enlarged sexual organs. Visiting galleries and museums, especially the Pompidou Center in Paris, I feel assaulted by 20th century abstract sculpture that resembles exaggerated female body parts, mainly breasts. These huge body parts seem intended to mock and dismember prehistoric sculptures of female bodies. It is not the eroticization of the female image that disturbs, but the fact that it is eroticized in order to be appropriated, by one sex taking a superior position, buyer to commodity. Many women are repelled at seeing their own bodies so appropriated or transformed into commodities in commercial art and fashion. Most swallow their distress, many having been taught to see this way deform themselves to fit that mold, like Cinderella's stepsisters butchering their feet to fit a prince's glass slipper. None of us can do more than try to see clearly and say what we see, and what we cannot fail to see in art is men's hatred of women and a cannibalistic male psyche. Women who analyze or depict this male psyche are usually accused of male bashing. A society complacent about negative female imagery in the arts grows absurdly censorious when women attack male values, behavior, and images. The debasement of women in art and advertising is echoed in cinematic images. Women are treated so shabbily in film that New York Times critic Janet Maslin, not notably a feminist, was moved to protest the bimboizing of women like Madonna in Dick Tracy, Jennifer Jason Leigh in Last Exit to Brooklyn and Miami Blues, Victoria Abril in Pedro Almodovar's Tie Me Up, Tie Me Down, and Goldie Hawn in Bird on a Wire. In the last, Hawn is a lawyer, yet is not only ditzy but spends much of the film in a negligee. The most popular film of 1990, Pretty Woman, is a Cinderella story about a prostitute. Advertisements for films often show their lead female character near naked, even if she does not appear that way in the film. Or men handling women as prey, like Gerard Depardieu with a smiling Andie MacDowell slung over his shoulder, green card. Rape or near rape is becoming as obligatory in violent films in the United States as it has long been in India. Add to this a tendency in film and books to portray career women as mean and selfish, Sojourner Weaver in Working Girl, or utterly evil, Fatal Attraction or Presumed Innocent, which as a novel topped the bestseller list for 2 years, and the diminishment and hatred of women in popular entertainment. Consider Andrew Dice Clay, Sam Kinison, Jason and Freddie, Two Live Crew. And you have an anatomy of men's feelings toward women in our age without even mentioning pornography. Pornography. Actual male violence toward women will be discussed in Part 4. Here we will discuss artistic representations of it. I define art as symbolic expression, without distinguishing high or low, serious or popular. I do not accept the word pornography, but use it to be understood. I would prefer to refer to erotic art, art intended to arouse desire. I find erotic art, in principle, inoffensive, but any art that degrades women does offend me. Years ago, few women were upset about pornography. Sadistic porn was rare. Only educated men read the Marquis de Sade or the Story of O, and my male friends insisted educated men were somehow immune to such work. But some women felt popular pornography to be dangerous. Questioning this, I read some. It was not sadistic, it centered on intercourse, and was extremely, tediously repetitive, clearly designed to aid male masturbation. It seemed harmless, maybe even a boon to women if it kept men from rape, which at the time everyone thought was a crime rooted in frustrated desire. I dismissed pornography. As a writer, I opposed censorship of any sort. Those were days of innocence. Not only did we accept snobbish class-bound distinctions as part of the natural order, but we did not yet know what 20-odd years of feminism have revealed. The dimensions, cruelty, and pervasiveness of men's unconscionable treatment of women in actual life, concealed behind the lace curtains of the home, generations of male supremacists called sacred. Moreover, after the male sexual revolution, pornography changed, growing far more widespread and moving from books to film to video. When it began to portray children as well as women, we discovered that men were sexually molesting children and always had. One's personal experience was not in fact merely a personal experience. In the late 1960s, pornography reached staggering depths of violence, hatred, and cruelty. Films featured lynching, mainly of Asian women. It is believed that the actresses in some snuff films were actually killed to make the film. Mutilation and murder tilted men into orgasm. But feminist analysis has taught us that even mild pornography degrades women and teaches men to see them through a distorted, deforming lens. In the early 1980s, people in a poor Minneapolis neighborhood, plagued by shops filled with pornography, asked lawyer Catherine McKinnon and Andrea Dworkin, well-known anti-pornography activists, to draft a bill prohibiting pornographic presentation of women or men, children, or transsexuals in the place of women. The code they drafted defined pornography as graphic, sexually explicit subordination of women in pictures or words that also includes the following. One, it's like an I. It's like a Roman numeral, lowercase. Women are presented dehumanized as sexual objects, things, or commodities. Or 2, women are presented as sexual objects who enjoy pain or humiliation. Or 3, women are presented as sexual objects who experience sexual pleasure in being raped. Or 4, women are present as sexual objects tied up or cut up or mutilated or bruised or physically hurt. Or 5, women are present in postures of sexual submission, servility, or display. Or 6, women's body parts, including but not limited to vaginas, breasts, and buttocks, are exhibited such that women are reduced to those parts. Or 7, women are presented as whores by nature. Or 8, women are presented being penetrated by objects or animals. Or 9, women are presented in scenarios of degradation, injury, torture, shown as filthy or inferior, bleeding, bruised, or hurt, in a context that makes these conditions sexual. The city of Minneapolis passed this code in 1983 and 84. Both times the mayor vetoed it. In 1984, a member of the Indianapolis City Council introduced a different version of the code, which was signed into law by the mayor. A coalition of book, magazine, and video sellers immediately obtained an injunction against it. The federal district court declared it unconstitutional, and the case went to the 7th Circuit Court of Appeals. 2 judges agreeing that depictions of subordination tend to perpetuate subordination of women and lead to affront and lower pay at work, insult and injury at home, battery and rape on the streets, and that pornography affects how people see the world, their fellows, and social relations. Nevertheless concluded that these effects simply demonstrate the power of pornography as speech which may not be leashed. Shaking my head. The Supreme Court declined to hear the case. In 1988, the code was voted in on a referendum in Bellingham, Washington, but was again ruled unconstitutional. The campaign to pass this code was supported by the religious right in an uneasy alliance with feminists. McKinnon distinguishes between right-wing and feminist anti-pornography positions, arguing that the right wing wants to pass obscenity laws and feminist political laws. Obscenity laws, she holds, focus on morality, morals seen from a male point of view, the standpoint of male dominance. The feminist critique of pornography is politics, specifically politics from women's point of view, the standpoint of women's subordination to men. Morality deals with good and evil, politics with power and powerlessness. Obscenity is a moral idea. Pornography is a political practice. Obscenity is abstract, pornography is concrete. McKinnon sees right-wing notions of obscenity as based on a 1973 law outlawing obscenity, defined as whatever an average person applying contemporary community standards finds, taken as a whole, appeals to the prurient interest, which depicts or describes in a patently offensive way sexual conduct, specifically defined by the applicable state law, and which, taken as a whole, lacks serious literary, artistic, political, or scientific value. Doubting the existence of an average person, gender neutral, McKinnon suspects community standards more than deviations from them, and asks why prurience counts but powerlessness doesn't. Why sensibilities are better protected from offense than women are from exploitation. She believes that sexuality, including its violation and expropriation, is broader than state law suggests, and asks why a body of law that cannot in practice distinguish rape from intercourse should be entrusted with distinguishing pornography from art. Most insightful is her argument that both the legal obscenity standard and pornography derives from the male standpoint, so that obscenity laws reproduce the pornographic point of view on the level of constitutional jurisprudence. Pornography institutionalizes the sexuality of male supremacy, which fuses the eroticization of dominance and submission with the social construction of male and female. Patriarchists present men's war against women as erotic, a turn-on for both sexes, and use pornography to teach each their mutually exclusive dominant and submissive roles. McKinnon claims defenders of pornography, whether feminists, lawyers, or neo-Freudians, believe they are supporting human sexual liberation, but are really defending sexual terrorism and the subordination of women. But both positions, the patriarchal and the feminist, are political and moral. The difference between them lies elsewhere. Both try to use the same means, but to achieve different ends. Anti-pornography feminists want to alter the American cultural climate so as to reduce violence against women and eliminate a force that undermines women's self-esteem and confidence. Anti-pornography conservatives want to alter the American cultural climate to make sexuality a taboo subject, to keep it utterly hidden. If they succeeded in censoring sadistic and degrading erotic art, they would campaign to censor all the public expression of eroticism. Most feminists do not find this a desirable goal. Anti-pornography feminists, however, believe that the safety and well-being of over half the human race is of greater value than the freedom to create degrading images of women that at the least legitimate and at worst promote sadistic violence against them. Oh, legitimate. But when they protest the publication of such works, men accuse them of being puritanical censors who would have silenced Flaubert, Lawrence Joyce, and Henry Miller, and scornfully lump them with fundamentalists who remove classics from the shelves of local libraries. Those who cite the First Amendment are treating freedom of expression as more important than eliminating a force that injures women. Yet freedom of expression is a vital right. Both these positions are untenable. They are legalistic and do not reflect people's actual feelings. People of both sexes who loathe sadistic or degrading portrayals of women and sexual power relations find themselves silenced by this impasse. But all parties to this irresolvable conflict start from the assumption that expression is free in the United States. This assumption is false. Expression is and always has been, in this and every state since patriarchy began, subject to taboos. Taboos are political. They exist to keep people from thinking independently, which might make them aware they are oppressed. They are aimed at precluding solidarity in groups that threaten the elite, mainly people oppressed by the elite. Taboos are enforced by power. In the United States, private expression is free, although small communities censor speech by pressure, shunning, or harassing those who express unpopular views. People opposed to the Gulf War felt silenced in many communities. Private expression of unpopular views can possibly earn one an FBI dossier, but is unlikely to get one hauled off to Lubyanka. However, public expression is censored everywhere, either directly by laws defining dissent as treason or by state terrorism, persecution of dissenters, or indirectly under the euphemism of the market. The United States uses both methods. It has made dissent illegal and used state terrorism to silence socialists and organizers of black political movements. But the power of money usually suffices to censor public expression. Opposers of the Gulf War watch television networks censor their reportage of protest marches we were part of or knew had occurred elsewhere. The more popular a medium, the more it is subject to censorship. Television, film, and glossy magazines are most censored. In the United States, censorship is imposed not by a religious body or the government, but by corporations that sponsor television productions and advertise in the print media. Newspapers, publishers who shape the presentation of hard news, supposed objective fact, often share the interests of corporations. Okay, I'm just going to stop there. We're going to have another part 3 continued video, and then we also have part 4. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching.